Gilles De Rais was probably born around the late 1400s. His parents' name was actually, hold on one second, Guy to Montgomery Lavelle and Marie de Cronan in a family castle, Champis, Chorlor. Sorry. Throughout this episode, you're going to notice, I might as well say it right off the bat, my French really sucks. So you guys might notice that. But anyways, so naturally being in a royal family, he was very highly intelligent. He spoke fluent Latin. He constantly kept a balance between education and military discipline. Moral and intellectual development was strongly noted. His parents actually died in 1415. Both him and his little brother René de Lassus was placed in the care of John de Caron, which was actually their grandfather. Now, his grandfather was, a bit of a hustler. He tried to arrange the marriage of Gilles when he was only 12 years old to Jeanne Paynel, who herself was only 14 years old. Why? It was simple. She was the richest heiress in the whole country of Normandy. So ultimately, his plan failed. He then tried to marry him to Beatrice de Rotham, which was the niece of the Duke of Brittany. And you're going to want to remember the Duke of Brittany, by the way, because he's going to come up again later in this podcast. So finally, November 30th of 1420, Gilles finally managed to marry him off to Catherine de Torres of Brittany. She was the heiress of La Vendée and Poitou. They had one child together, Marie, and she was born in 1429. So let's look a little bit about his military career, because anybody that knows anything about royal family structure will quickly tell you that they have to have a stint in a military career, especially if they're male. Sorry about that. Hold on. So during the decades following the Britain War of Secession, Olive de Blois' faction were beat. However, the Count of Petira continued to plot against the dukes of the House of Montauf. Eventually, the Duke John V1 prisoner was charged with being in violation of the Treaty of Giroud in 1365. Now, at the age of 16, Gilles decided to align with the House of Montferrat, or Montferrat, however you say it. Sorry, hold on. So in 1425, he was introduced to the court of Charles V11. So he learned courtly manners by standing the Dauphin. During the Battle of Chateau de Lourdes, he took prisoner the English captain Blackburn. So to get this, so really you got to get this, all right? So from 1427 to 1435, Ray served as a commander in the Royal Army. He was awarded for bravery at the battlefield during the renewal of the 100-Year War. One of the things that I like mostly about Ray's military career is in 1429, Ray fought alongside with none only than Joan of Arc, and some of the campaigns were waged against the English and their Burgundian allies. Ray was there with Joan of Arc when the siege of Lyons ended. So you got to understand that Joan of Arc and Gilles De Rais is actually very closely acquainted with one another after this war, from what I understand. I mean, like, to the point to where when Joan of Arc was lit on fire when she was executed, it said that Gilles De Rais was actually, he never got over that. It like haunted him till his dying day. So when looking into Rais's actual career, one important day is July 17th in 1429. Rais was one of the four lords chosen for the honor of bringing the holy Tapula from the Abbey of Saint Remy to Notre Dame de Reims for the consecration of Charles as King of France. So on the very same day, he was made Marshal of France by King Charles. So after the Battle of the Siege of Orleans, Rais was given the right to add a border of the royal arms, the Fleur de Lis, on the Azure ground to his own. So, although May of 1431, Joan of Arc was burned at the stake alive, like I was just briefly talking about, Rais refused to be present. They wanted him to be present, but he flat out just said, hell no, I ain't going to see my friend burn at the stake. Y'all got me effed up. I ain't doing it. So that's basically how that really went down, most likely. So on November 15th, 1432, his grandfather actually passed away. Now, he did leave a message for Rais, however. He was displeased of Rais's reckless spending of his fortune. So he left his sword, his breastplate, to Rais's younger brother. Why is this actually significant, you might ask? Well, basically what that statement was his grandfather, before passing away, actually told him, you know what? You keep spending like all your money recklessly. You're not paying attention to what you're doing. You're taking your people out. You don't care about the repercussions. So basically what his grandfather was saying was, I cut you completely out. You're done. So that's basically what he was saying by passing it to the youngest sibling instead of giving it to the oldest, which was actually tradition at the time. So around 1434 or 1405, Rais slowly withdrew from his military career. He didn't want to do it like right away, so he just kind of like slowly did it, you know. So as well of his public life. So what he was said to actually, he wanted to pursue his own interests. That was like when people asked him, "Yo, why are you ending your successful military career?" He simply replied, "I want to pursue my own interests." So the construction of the Chapel of the Holy Innocents, he was also responsible for the production of La Miserere de Drons. And at the time of the production, Rais was almost bankrupt completely. He started selling off his property that he as early as 1432 to support his actual lavish lifestyle. But that wasn't the only thing he was trying to support. So he was also trying to support the production cost. So March of 1433, he sold his entire estate in Poitou and all his property in Maine. There was only 2 castles left that he owned. Yes, I said castles. That's just how he rolled. So one was in Anjou, Champlou-sur-Loire, and one was in Graves. So half of his money from his property sales actually went to the cost of his lifestyle. And to earn brownie points with the elite, he made sure there was unlimited supply. So half of the money that he made from the sale of his estate actually went into the production. Sorry about that. I noticed the pen I was using must have messed up, but it actually went to the production cost of his play. And to earn brownie points with the elite, the money bags basically, he made sure that there was unlimited supplies of food and drinks were made possible for all guests that arrived, no matter what. So June of 1435, Rais's family tried to stop Rais dead in his tracks. They actually went to the Pope Eugene to disavow the Chapel of the Holy Innocents. The Pope flat out refused. So they went to the King of France directly. And July 2nd, 1435, a royal etiquette was proclaimed to Orleans. Tours. angers Pozos and the Champon Shore Lori, denouncing Reyes as a spendthrift. He also made it illegal for Reyes to sell any of his properties that he owned, meaning the two castles that he had left. He also banned all royal subjects from entering a contract with Reyes. So, they couldn't do no business deals with them, basically, is what that means. He is like, yo, ain't nobody doing business with them. We taking them out. So, Reyes' credit began to drop rapidly as a result of that. And no one was allowed to do business with him in the public as well, period. It was punishable by jail. So this resulted in Reyes selling everything else that he owned that he could. So in 1438, according to official court testimony, priest Eugene Planchat and cleric Francois Prazat, Reyes sent out Blanchat to find people who knew alchemy and demonology. So the priest contracted Francis Perliti to help Reyes with, and it's going to get there, hold on. With Reyes chose to initiate magical experiments with. The first in the lower half of his castle, at Tiffany's or Tiffat's. He was attempting to summon a demon named Baron. Reyes provided a contract with the demon for the riches that Perlotti was to give the demon later. They tried 3 different times. Once no demon appeared, on the 3rd time, Reyes grew very angry, and that he ordered to sacrifice a child immediately. Reyes provided the remnants of the child in a glass vessel for a future evocation. But no demon actually appeared. It left Reyes bitter, and his well started to deplete faster than ever before. So he gave so we have heard about Reyes. Hold on one second. So we have heard about how Reyes actually spent part of his life. We even started seeing his journey into his darkness. His depression. His grandfather cutting him out. His credit started rapidly depleting. He had nowhere to turn. Nobody in town would talk to him. Nobody would do business with him. He was completely, utterly just ruined. So that's when he began his descent into darkness. And that's when he actually ordered the sacrifice of the first child, which he also ordered to be put in a vessel for later invocation. So that's what I mean by that. Like, we actually started to see the process. So Gilles De Rais actually confessed to killing children. The first assaults occurred between the spring of 1432 and the spring of 1433. His first murders occurred at his castle Champeau-sur-Loire. So Ray said when he moved to Michel, he killed and sodomized over 24 different kids. The first official investigated case, Judon, who was 12 years old, an apprentice to the Frère Gaulon, Hilary. Keep in mind that it is common knowledge the only reason anybody looked for the 12-year-old boy was he was a part of the elite crowd. So, before I go any further, I want to speak on that. What I mean by that is, when you start getting into a lot of murder cases that involve the wealthy, you start to see how when it's somebody of importance, meaning a child that was of a rich person, a queen, a king, a Dutch, a president, a senator, congressman, when it's somebody that matters, like a celebrity, all of a sudden everything drops and everybody goes to find it, or if it becomes a trend. But when it's just a regular everyday person or child, it's kind of like they still do, but it seems to take longer. So what was Reyes' actual killing method? He actually pampered the boys, it said. he would dress them in the best of clothes, and he would feed them a very, very large meal. Lots of wine, and he would put a hippocatus, which was a stimulant. He took the boy to the upper, before that he would get to the boys, before he would take them to the upper room. Then he would rape, beat, and kill them. Gilles' manservant, Certain Coril, was nicknamed Poet. He testified that Rais would strip the boys naked. He would then tie them with rope and hang them from hooks. And then he would masturbate upon the child's belly or thighs while drinking their blood. So, if the child was a male, he would touch his genitalia area, particularly their testicles, and their buttocks, eventually. He would take the child down. Rais would comfort them. Then he would slowly kill them. They would normally be killed by decapitation. He would cut their throats, cut off their limbs, or he would break their neck with a stick that he kept by the side of his bed. He also kept a short, thick, double-sided sword that he called a bracont right on hand close by wherever he went. Rais sometimes abused physically the victims before wounding them and killing them slowly. Rais also took the children's sexual organs. He would pleasure himself playing with the organs or their dead body parts, and he said once they were dead, he kissed them slowly and passionately. He said that they were handsome, and I kept their limbs and heads so I could admire them. That's what Gilles De Rais said in court. He would cut them open, he said. And he said, I took delight at the sight of their inner organs on my floor very often when they were dying. I sat on their stomachs and I would laugh as I dissected and just gently stabbed them as he did it. That's what he said in court. So Rais also said, I or my servants would burn the bodies in the fireplace in the bedroom or the bottom of the castle. Their clothes we would burn as well. However, we chose to do this, he said, piece by piece, so that they would burn very slowly. And also, by doing this, would minimize the smell coming out of the chimney to the public. So Rais then put their ashes into a pit or the moat or other discreet places that he had on his property. August of 1440 was the last known victim, which was the son of Anat de Valanche Dos. The twisted part, they were actually paid for their child to be killed. These people did. May 15th, 1440, he kidnapped a cleric during an argument at a church. The act forced Bishop of Nantes to launch an official investigation. On July 29th, the bishop officially released his findings. Rais and his two manservants were arrested immediately. On September 15th, 1440, Rais' prosecution was likely conducted by both secular and church courts on charges of murder, sodomy, and heresy against the church. Once Rais confessed to the charge on October 21st, 1440, the court canceled their plans to torture him into confession. So local peasants and neighborhood villages began saying their kids went to his castle and they were never seen again. The testimony was so graphic that the judges ordered a lot of it to be stricken from the records. Now, officially, the victim count is actually unknown, and this is due to him burning all evidence. It is said that he killed over 800 children, although 600 children officially were documented. although it is estimated that it could be as high as 800 victims. Now, age range that he chose was 6 to 18. Although almost all were boys, October 23rd of 1440, his servant Pertot and Henry were condemned to death. October 25th, 1440, Rais was ordered to death. He told his servants to die bravely, however, and to think of salvation only, for they were innocent. He asked the court to die before them, however, and it was granted. At 11 o'clock, the brush at the platform was set on fire. Then Rais was hanged. His body was cut down before it was completely burned after. He was taken to a chapel and had a proper burial at a church, however. Isn't that convenient? For a killer of over 600 or 800 victims, let's bury him at a church simply because he was a somebody. His two servants, however, they were completely burned and reduced to ash, and then they simply just scattered across the land as the wind blew. See why I said what I just said? So, what is a murder story where the killer is a nobleman without a conspiracy? There's always one, right? So, some have said that the Catholic Church framed Rais, Gilles De Rais. It was backed up by the Duke of Brittany, however, Gilles De Rais' homeboy, basically, his friend, who the French king is said to have cut off support due to the Duke's protection of Gilles De Rais. Some say Rais was a victim of Inquisition. The 20th century anthropologist Margaret Murray and occultist Aleister Crowley have all said he was innocent. Crowley actually said Gilles De Rais was the male equivalent of Joan of Arc. He said this angered the King of France. He said Rais' only crime was his constant pursuit of knowledge. That, he said, angered the church. Murray said Rais was really a natural-born witch, and he couldn't help the fact that he was on a pursuit of knowledge due to the fact that his bloodline was of natural witches. It just caused him to have a pursuit of knowledge. I'm not going to get into that right now. There's a saying about that. It's an old saying. But anyways, saying that the church knew this, saying he was a member of a fertility cult. The church knew this, saying that he was a member of a fertility cult. He worshipped pagan goddess Diana. The reason why that they said this is during this time period, there was active aristocrats that would secretly worship the goddess Diana of fertility. Diana was a goddess of fertility. A lot of celebrities are said to worship her, and a lot of occultists and the elite are said to worship her as well. But again, we're not going to get into that either right now. So almost every historian and anthropologist dispute this, however. No child corpse was ever found at any of his castles, even in his old ones. So you have to ask yourself, was the King of France and the Catholic Church witnesses and his own servants' confession actually right? Or was Gilles De Rais the victim of being falsely charged because the King of France wanted his estate and the Catholic Church wanted him gone because he was in a pursuit of knowledge? He was a somebody, and he was very vocal about the stuff that he was learning, and this upset the church, and it also upset the King of France. However, the King of France really just kind of wanted, the property. He didn't really care so much about what he had to say. He just wanted his shit. But anyways, So, because of his connections and his involvement in the cult, it actually made it very easy for him to become somebody to be targeted for something like this. So, before you answer your question, think about the witch hunts that actually happened prior in history. I say prior to this time period and prior later on. Hold on one second, please. Come on, hurry, hurry. All right, sorry about that. So, anyways, like I was saying, so we got to ask ourselves that about the Salem witch hunt. We got to ask ourselves. Hold on one second. Just get a cupcake. Stop.
What's some fucking pie?
Okay. Go on, Bubba. I'll be in a minute. So again, sorry about that. My son just got home, so from church and all that. So, anyways, we got to ask ourselves about the. We got to ask ourselves about that question. Sorry, I'm trying to remember where I was at. We got to ask ourselves about, was he the victim of that, or was he a sadistic killer? Some people have actually said that Gilles De Rais was the French Dracula and was also a necrophilia. The reason why we say this is because there's evidence that, well, not really evidence because it was hearsay. Remember, all the people showed up to the court from different towns and said, hey, yo, my kid was a victim of Gilles De Rais as well. And I mean, and the stories that they told was so far out there and twisted and violent that they actually ordered it stricken from the record. So you got to put that in account too. At least I did. Like, was this simply like people hating on him and people saying like, kind of like the whole Me Too movement that's currently going on? Was this the equivalent of that? This guy had a lot of property. He had a lot of pool. His family was, aristocrats. He hung around the duchesses, and all this other stuff. And because he had connections to the occult world with Aleister Crowley and Thelema and all that, or whatever. I don't even know if it was Thelema or not. I just know that Aleister Crowley was very fond of him. And I can't say accurately or not if they were like, buddy. But the reason why necrophilia was actually brought up was Gilles De Rais himself and his manservants. I mean, they literally said that he would drink their blood and eat their body parts, and the parts that he wouldn't keep after he pleasured himself both sexually eating them and whatever else he wanted to do. He would also, in that concept, would also drink their blood. That's the reason why at the time they called him the French Dracula. In that sense, he's one of the first historical vampires. If you're going to bring up something like vampires, and you got people out there that both practice necrophilia and they drink blood. The fact that he drank blood, you have to, and the fact that he drinks blood, and the fact that, yes, he did kill people. Whenever I did research, I've seen enough evidence to support the fact that he actually did kill people. Now, the amount of people that he killed, however, I do not know. The man testified that he killed, 600 people. But on the same token, some people, there was enough people saying stuff that they said he killed 800 people. So, but yet still, even though he killed them for a satanic ritual, the church still allowed his body to be buried in their church. The only time in history that you actually see this happen is with the aristocrats, kings and queens, and people of that stature. I mean, Vlad the Impaler, his own town, I believe, in Romania actually managed to capture him, and they kept him in a dungeon. I do believe that his body is rumored to be in a church, however. From what I understand, though, there was some... You know what? I'm not going to get into that. But anyways, going back to Gilles De Rais, the man was honestly, it was a good story. I mean, when I was doing the research on him, he... from what I read, he seemed to be somebody that came from a lot of money. So he had a lot of connections. He was highly intelligent because he had the best of the best education, both in military as well as academically. I believe ultimately Gilles De Rais's biggest actual thing was he was about himself. He wanted to learn as much as he possibly could about the universe. And that was pretty much the only thing in life that he actually wanted. And then, you know, he honestly did other stuff. Like he did do that, the famous play, I might add. What is that French play? Les Miserables. I always forget how to say it. Even though I've seen it, it's actually a good play. Gilles De Rais is the creator of it. Bet you didn't know that. So a serial killer actually created one of the best plays that was ever produced in history. However, moving on. So we don't know his actual body count, but we do know that it was between 600 and 800 because he confessed to murdering 600 children, mostly boys, and one girl. However, because of the church's investigation and because of the town's confessions and surrounding towns' confessions, he was charged with 800. No, he was rumored to have killed 800 people and officially charged with 600. So this is one of those cases because it took place in the 1400s. We're never going to have, I don't believe, the actual answers that we're seeking to find out in him, which is, did he actually do it? I kind of feel like he did because of the fact that he actually said that he did. However, I also know that in the 1400s now, the church's method of getting confessions was one that you're going to confess whether you want to or not. Because they would torture you until you confess. They would just break you. Eventually, you're going to break. And that's what they did until he confessed to it. At least that's what I found to be truthful. So, hold on 1 minute. And no, it's not coffee. It's actually sweet green tea. And then I put blueberries in it and cooked it. So it's infused. All right, but anyways, moving on. So going over all this research again, we got to ask ourselves that. I just simply don't know if he did it. Let me know what you guys think, if he did it or not. I'm going to include normally in my slideshow, like I normally do, all the extra documentation and stuff. And I know it's been forever since I've done an episode. You know, I'll explain that later on my personal page, my business page as well. However, new episodes are coming. So now we know about Gilles De Rais, one of the most horrible serial killers in world history. He was a French royal person. He was and he was a elite. He was the who's who. You know what I'm saying? Part of the who's who crowd. It's just in secret. He killed like 800 people. You know what I mean? So the next, I want to touch bases real quick on the next episodes that you're going to be able to expect coming out from Working Class Thoughts. So we're going to look at H.H. Holmes very next. H.H. Holmes is one of my personal favorite serial killers. If I had a choice between 1 to 10 in the true crime spectrum here, I would say H.H. Holmes would probably be placed with myself. I would place him probably around my third or fourth favorite killer, to be honest. And just recently, I mean, they try to say that, I believe they try to link him to being Jack the Ripper as well. I'm not sure if their search came back conclusive that he was Jack the Ripper, but I do know that there was a lot of evidence that strongly supported the fact that H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer, could also be Jack the Ripper. So you guys have that podcast to expect coming up very shortly as well. I'm trying to see if I have that list. I had to move things around, you know. The house is getting ready for the holiday decorating, and, you know, I got in the background over here, I know you guys can't see it, but in the background, you know, I got, like, all my Christmas stuff just piled up over there, you know, and in the garage, I got, my gym studio thing. Unfortunately, I had all my blow-ups up, and I had to go put them back because the wind here in Oklahoma is just freaking crazy strong right now. Ridiculous. Like, even sitting here recording this, you could just hear the wind just hitting the house like crazy. Just, you know. Hold on one sec. I do know that I am planning on doing one on Elizabeth Bathory as well. You guys can have that coming out. So I have Elizabeth Bathory. So let me just say that H.H. Holmes is coming out next. And then I'm going to do another one on Elizabeth Bathory, who's also on my favorite shelf on my top 10. What I'm thinking about doing is my personal favorite serial killers. You know, I got a list actually of my 10 favorite serial killers. Like I said, H.H. Holmes is on there. Elizabeth Bathory is on there. So I'm toying around with the concept of maybe doing that, but I haven't fully decided. And if I do, of course, naturally, my podcast listener audience would be first to know about that. So, sorry it's been so long since I've been back. I'm sorry that this is a little bit shorter of an episode. I actually got to go somewhere in a little bit. We all have our 9 to 5 gig, right? So, I got to go somewhere here and just... shit, not that long at all. So, but I did want to provide an episode for you guys because, you know, I've been talking about it online forever about how, oh yeah, I'm coming out with the new one. I'm coming out with the new one. And then it's like crickets for a minute. And I do apologize about that. I've actually been upset about it myself because I've been beat up about it because I've been so busy that I've been trying to find time and I just couldn't handle getting up at like 2 a.m. 2 hours of sleep thing. I got to get more than 2 hours of sleep here and there. But I am back finally now. So you guys can expect new episodes, hopefully coming out quicker. I do know after the holidays, I'm for sure coming back quicker than what I have been. Hold on. Part of that reason is my work schedule, and the other part of that reason is the holidays. And I'm actually planning on taking my kid ice skating this upcoming week. Unfortunately, I have to work Friday. Friday is the opening day of the ice rink. I do want to say, I know when I'm recording, I'm often speaking both to my audio listeners, which is why you guys see me over here. Sometimes I got a little microphone over here on the table that I'm talking to for my audio listeners. And then I also have my screen over here where I'm talking to my YouTube audience. So if you ever see me go like this or like this, it's because I'm going back and forth between the two at the same time. Neither here nor there. But anyways, so here pretty soon I'm actually planning on taking my kid ice skating because my YouTube audience did something incredible for me a while back, which is why I did that shout out video. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. And I'm also planning on taking my kids some ice skating too, man. They all came together and helped me out. So I am planning on taking them ice skating. It's pretty soon. I got my new schedule for this upcoming week, and I was kind of bummed out because the opening day is Friday, and I got to work that night. So them's the breaks is what the saying is, or how the cookie breaks, however you want to say it. I don't know, but however that saying is, right? But at any rate, I'm planning on taking my kid ice skating because everybody came together and came together for me. And I was telling Jessica the other night, actually, I was like, everybody came together, so I got to take him ice skating. Like, it sucks I can't do it opening day, but it will be as soon as possible for sure. He's excited about it for sure. But at any rate, so this has been Gilles De Rais. If you guys know your highlights and your insight for the next 2 episodes I'm planning on doing. And stay tuned on my Facebook working class page. During the holidays, I do a lot of posting on my Facebook page, the Working Class Thoughts Facebook page. And I also do a lot of posting on Instagram. But I do a lot more on the Facebook page during the holidays, so look forward to that. And then there's some listeners that's actually on my personal Facebook page. You guys should definitely expect a lot of stuff to see on there. But anyways, so sorry about the wait. For my audio listeners, man, I hear you guys, man. When I logged on today into my studio thing, I had 10 different voicemails from listeners wondering where the hell I've been at and what's going on. So I had a chance today. I had an opening, all week long. I've been doing this like little dance, like, okay, so tomorrow I'm going to get up early and I'm going to go into my studio and, sit down on my desk. I'm going to record this episode. I got to get it done. You know what I'm saying? And then I get up in the morning and life hits me and I'm like, fuck. Then I go, okay, so the next day I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to get this thing done. I'm going to pump it out. And then the same shit happens. So, and I can't complain about it because I've been on a flip for too long. So I'm ecstatic about having a job. Because that gives me the ability to get caught up on bills. And if I can get caught up on bills, that gives me the ability to do other stuff, both for myself, my family, and for my audience. But I got to get some income flowing in to make that happen for myself, my family, and for y'all. So I got to, deal with life's daily grind, as a saying, as that goes, to be able to do that for everybody. So I do apologize about the lag between episodes, but you guys can expect them coming out. This is my episode to actually prove that to you guys. I will be coming out with more episodes. What, Rocky? What? Come here. What? What? You guys, see this? So, no, hey. Hold on a second. Hey. No. Hey, dog. Okay. All right. So anyway, sorry about that. Life's interruption. Should I mean daily grind? So it's about 2 p.m. here where I'm at in Oklahoma. It's freezing cold outside because of the wind. It wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't for that. But at any rate, I got to get going. I got some things to do. But like I said, I did want to present you guys with something. So now we know about Gilles De Rais. I wouldn't say that he's in my top 10 favorite list. So don't think that. Don't think that at all. He is somebody I'm interested in. And it's kind of interesting that when I was going over that one. And I'm like, a French aristocrat, sadistic mass murderer. When you hear the word mass murder, that's going to really make you want to start looking into it. I mean, if you're into true crime, I know I would. If somebody sent me something and said, hey, Mike, check this out. Check this story out. This guy killed like hundreds of people. I'm going to be like, you got my attention. You know what I mean? You got my attention. So, at any rate, keep sending in the suggestions. I'm going to keep going over them. Again, the next couple ones are going to be personal favorite serial killers of mine. That's going to start with the newest episode coming after this one. Again, that's going to be H.H. Holmes. That's one of my personal favorite ones. And we're going to start going into my personal favorite serial killers. I got a top 10 list for y'all. So, my true crime fans, you guys got my top 10 favorite serial killers coming your way very, very soon. Okay? Coming your way very, very soon. You guys got that to look forward to. All right? So anyways, this is Mike for Working Class Thoughts. Hope everybody has a good day. Peace, love, good vibes as always. Everybody remember one thing. Stay true to yourself. Stay tuned because new episodes are coming your way very, very soon. Again, peace, love, and good vibes. Everybody have a great day.